Namaste. I welcome all my dear SSLC students and all the viewers for today's Samveda e-learning program class. Students, today we are going to discuss third part of life process chapter, and in today's class we are going to discuss about respiration, which is one of the very important life process. So students, all of you are ready with your textbook and notebook to write down the important points. So let us recall what we have studied in the last class. Last class we have studied heterotrophic nutrition, types of heterotrophic nutrition, and we also discussed about nutrition in amoeba, nutrition in human beings. In detail we discussed digestion in mouth, digestion in stomach, and digestion in intestine. In today's class, students, we are going to learn respiration, types of respiration, difference between aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration, respiration in plants, and also in detail human respiratory system we are going to study. Students, what do you mean by respiration? Of course, it is one of the essential life process, because to carry out all the different types of life processes we need energy, and respiration is an energy releasing process from food. So let us study the definition. It is a multi-step enzymatic mediated biochemical process of oxidative breakdown of food to release energy. So it is an energy releasing process from the food, and this energy we use it to carry out all different types of life processes in our body. Students, respiration is an catabolic process. You know that what you mean by catabolic process. Here breakdown of the glucose molecule takes place, which liberates a large amount of energy, and mitochondria is the site of respiration, and the energy released is stored in the form of ATP. The full form of ATP is adenosine triphosphate, and ATP is stored in mitochondria and it is released as per our need to carry out different types of life processes. Now let us discuss what you mean by respiratory substrates. Yes, you are right, students. The organic compounds that undergo oxidative breakdown in respiration are called as respiratory substrates. Now let us discuss the phases of respiration. Respiration process can be divided into two phases. One is external respiration, and it is also known as breathing, and the second one is internal respiration or cellular respiration. Breathing process involves two main steps. One is inhalation, another one is exhalation process. Internal respiration again can be divided into two types. One is aerobic respiration, another type of respiration is anaerobic respiration. Aerobic respiration takes place in almost all animals, including human beings, and this type of respiration takes place in presence of oxygen, whereas anaerobic respiration takes place in absence of oxygen, and it takes place especially in microorganisms like yeast. So these are the main two types of respiration. Now let us discuss one by one. First let us study about aerobic respiration. Aerobic respiration takes place in presence of oxygen, and in this particular type of respiration complete breakdown of glucose takes place. Here the glucose completely gets breakdown to liberate a large amount of energy. So in this process liberates more energy, and the end products of aerobic respiration are mainly carbon dioxide, water, and energy. So in this particular process large amount of energy is released, and this respiration takes place in mitochondria. Next is anaerobic respiration. It takes place in the absence of oxygen. As the name suggests, anaerobic means absence of oxygen, and partial breakdown of glucose here taking place. And it produces, when compared to aerobic respiration, less amount of energy. And the end products are mainly ethanol and carbon dioxide, and a small amount of energy are the end products. And where does it take place? Of course, it takes place in yeast. Even sometimes in our muscles also, this anaerobic type of respiration takes place, and that is called as lactic acid fermentation. Now let us discuss different pathways by which glucose is going to break down inside the cell. Glucose is an 6-carbon molecule. In cytoplasm, glucose breaks down into 3 carbon molecule, that is 2 pyruvate molecule, and also a small amount of energy liberation taking place. And in mitochondria, in presence of oxygen during aerobic respiration, this pyruvate molecule further break down to liberate large amount of energy. Along with that, carbon dioxide, water also produced as a byproducts. In absence of oxygen, especially in yeast, ethanol, carbon dioxide and a small amount of energy produced. When there is a lack of oxygen in muscles, sometimes there will be accumulation of lactic acid takes place. Along with that, a small amount of energy liberation taking place. And also we suffer from muscular cramps when we do some vigorous activity. Next, let us discuss what are respiratory gases. The gases which are either being consumed or liberated during respiration are called as respiratory gases. You are right, students. The gases which are either being consumed or liberated during respiration are called as respiratory gases. Example, oxygen and carbon dioxide. Can you tell me what are these structures? Of course, this structure is structure of ATP molecule. So the energy which is liberated during respiration is stored in the form of ATP. The full form is adenosine triphosphate, and this ATP is considered as energy currency of the cell. The energy released during respiration is used to make ATP molecules from adenosine diphosphate and inorganic phosphate. The 3 phosphate bonds present in the molecule are high energy bonds. This ATP is an high energy molecule which is stored inside the cell. When the cells need energy, the ATP can be broken down using water to release energy. So you can see here ATP broken down to produce ADP and a phosphate molecule, and a large amount of energy will be released. So this energy is equivalent to 30.5 kilojoules per mole, and it is released in this particular process. And this energy organisms use to carry out different types of life processes. Now one question for you: why athletes sometimes suffer from muscular cramps? Even when we will do some vigorous physical activity, we also experience the same. So what is the reason for this? Yes, you are right, students. Sometimes in our muscle cells, pyruvate is converted into lactic acid due to lack of oxygen. So lactic acid accumulation leads to this muscular cramps, and this is a type of anaerobic respiration that is taking place inside our muscle cells, and it is also known as lactic acid fermentation. Gentle massage can give you relief from the pain. Next, let us discuss respiration in plants. Like animals, plants also need energy. The plants get this energy by the process of respiration itself, and different parts of the plants are involved in this type of respiration, and plants also use the oxygen of air for respiration and release carbon dioxide, and especially this respiration takes place in plant during night time. Let us study the difference between the respiration of plants and respiration of animals. The respiration in plants differs from the animals mainly in 3 aspects. You can see here all the parts of the plants like roots, stem, leaves perform respiration individually. And during respiration in plants, there is a little transport of respiratory gases from one part of the plant to other part taking place. And the rate of respiration is also very slow when compared to animals. So, the rate of respiration in plants are very slow when compared to animals. These are the main three differences between the respiration in plants and the respiration in animals. You can see in this particular diagram, respiration taking place through the tips of the plants such as shoot tip, even through the leaves, even through sometimes through the stems, even through the roots. Oxygen is taken in and carbon dioxide is released out. Respiration in plants are comparatively simpler than the respiration in animals. And here gaseous exchange takes place mainly through stomata present in the leaves. Apart from this, lenticels in stems and also general surface of the roots, especially root hair. So, the different parts of the plants takes part in this respiration process. Now, let us discuss respiration in leaves. Of course, we have studied in the first session that leaf surface consists of tiny pores called stomata. Through this stomata, the exchange of gases takes place. Opening and closing of the stomata mainly controlled by guard cells which is present in leaves. And stomata present in lower epidermis in a large number. It is not present in the upper epidermis layer of the plant. And exchange of gases mainly occurs with the closing and opening of the stomata between the inferior of leaves and the atmosphere. Now, let us discuss respiration in stems. You can see here the stem of the plant and which possess small patches, white patches. These white patches are nothing but lenticels. And through these lenticels, the exchange of gases takes place. But in herbaceous plants, they possess small pores called stomata. Through this stomata only, exchange of air taking place. And in woody stems, the bark has lenticels for gaseous exchange. Next, let us study respiration in roots. Air occurs in the soil interspaces. Roots are in direct contact with them. Oxygen of the soil air diffuses through root hair and reaches all internal cells of the root for respiration. Carbon dioxide produced by root cells diffuses in the opposite direction, and this is how the respiration by roots taking place. Next, let us discuss respiration in animals. When compared to plants, respiration in animals is a complex system. We possess well-developed respiratory system. The process of exchange of gases varies in different animals. For example, in minute organisms like amoeba, the respiration mainly takes place through cell membrane. We know that a simple diffusion process is enough for the exchange of gases or for this respiration process. Next, let us study one more type of respiration. In some organisms, through the body wall or the skin, this respiration takes place. Example, leeches, earthworm, and even amphibians, frog, salamander, etc. Next, let us discuss respiration through tracheal system. In insects like cockroaches, grasshopper, transportation of gas or exchange of gases mainly takes place through special type of fine tubes that is called as tracheae, and through this tracheae the respiration taking place. In aquatic animals, this respiration takes place through gills. A majority of aquatic animals like fishes, prawns, they breathe through special organs called gills. You can observe the gills in fishes. Through this respiratory organ, respiration takes place in aquatic animals like fishes. Now let us see a small video clip. All of you have seen that video clip, right? Okay, what you observed? Now one question for you. The rate of breathing in aquatic organisms is much faster than that seen in terrestrial organisms. What is the reason for this? Yes, you are right. Aquatic animals use the oxygen which is dissolved in water so that they breathe at a faster rate, since the amount of dissolved oxygen is very low when compared to the amount of oxygen in the atmosphere. Next, let us study the respiration in animals. In higher animals like human beings, we possess well developed respiratory system, and many higher animals, they respire through special type of respiratory organ, that is lungs. Amphibians, mammals and birds exchange gases through these special respiratory organs called lungs. Now let us discuss human respiratory system. The main organs present in our respiratory system are nostrils, nasal cavity, pharynx, larynx, tracheae, bronchi, bronchioles, lungs and a diaphragm. So you can observe nostrils, nasal cavity, pharynx, tracheae, bronchi, bronchioles, lungs and diaphragm. Now let us discuss one by one the different parts of our respiratory system. First one is nostrils. We possess a pair of nostrils which converge to form a nasal passage, and the inner lining of the nostril is lined with the minute hairs and also remains wet due to the mucus secretion. And the mucus and the hair helps in filtering the dust particles out from the inhaled air. Further, air is warmed up when it enters through this nasal passage. You can see in this particular picture. You can observe the nostril through which we inhale the air, which is followed by nasal passage. Next, second part, pharynx. Pharynx, it's a tube-like structure which continues after nasal passage and serves as a common passage way for both air as well as for food. And below the pharynx, one more part, that is larynx. It is also known as voice box. It helps in the generation of sound, thus helps in communication. Larynx is connected with the trachea, which is a long tube passing through the mid-thoracic cavity. This trachea is made up of C-shaped cartilaginous rings. Now one question for you students. What is the importance of cartilaginous rings in throat? You are right. Cartilaginous rings prevents collapsing of air passage in absence of air. Next part is bronchi. A pair of bronchi comes out from the trachea. When trachea divides, it forms a pair of bronchi, and each bronchus going to each lung. You can see in this picture. Further, each bronchus divide into fine tubes or finer channels, and these are called as bronchioles. Can you guess what are these? Yes, you are right. These are alveoli. These are balloon-like structure which are present at the tip of each bronchioles and which play a very important role in exchange of gases. They are surrounded by a large number of blood capillaries. You can observe this picture. These alveoli are surrounded by a large number of blood capillaries through which easily exchange of gases takes place. Now let us discuss importance of alveoli. Alveoli helps to increase the surface area for the exchange of gases, and also I told you alveoli contain an extensive network of blood vessels through which exchange of gases easily taking place. Lungs. Lungs are the very important part of human respiratory system. These lungs are air-filled sac-like structure which is present in the thoracic region of our body. and we have a pair of lungs which are sac-like structure present in the chest or pleural cavity of the body, and these lungs are surrounded by a double layered membrane called pleura. Next, let us study one more part of our respiratory system, that is diaphragm. The floor of the thoracic cavity is completely closed by a thin muscular septum, and that is called as diaphragm. And this diaphragm separates the thoracic chamber from the abdominal cavity. You can see in this picture, this diaphragm separates the thoracic chamber from the abdominal cavity. Now one question for you students, what is the importance of residual volume of air in lungs? Yes, you are right. It provides sufficient time for the oxygen to be absorbed and for the carbon dioxide to be released. One more question, how does transport of oxygen and carbon dioxide takes place in human beings? Yes, you are right. In human beings, transport of oxygen takes place by respiratory pigment, which is present in the red blood corpuscles, and carbon dioxide is more soluble in water, hence it is mostly transported in the dissolved form in our blood. Mechanism of breathing. Mechanism of breathing mainly involves two stages. One is inhalation, another is exhalation. So what is inhalation? What is exhalation? Inhalation is a process of taking oxygen rich air inside, and exhalation is a process of expelling out air which is rich with the carbon dioxide. Now let us discuss in detail about inhalation process and exhalation process. Now a small activity, just you all inhale the air. What you are going to observe? When we breathe in air, the muscles of the diaphragm contracts and moves downward. The chest cavity expands. Of course, when the air enters into the lungs, volume of the lungs also increases. When we breathe out, the air is rich in carbon dioxide, and of course, the muscles of the diaphragm relaxes and moves upward. The chest cavity contracts and air goes out of the lungs. Now let us discuss advantage of terrestrial organisms' respiration when compared to aquatic organisms. Terrestrial organisms use the oxygen present in the atmosphere directly. They have respiratory organs with a large surface area which is in contact with the oxygen rich atmosphere, and also they are well protected because they are present inside the body. And one more advantage is that there is a mechanism for moving the air in and out. Now one question for you students, arrange the following in correct order through which the air flows up to alveoli. Yes, your answer is correct. First nostrils, pharynx, larynx, trachea and alveoli. Now let us do a small activity to know the air which we expel out is rich in carbon dioxide. Aim of the experiment: to test the carbon dioxide presence in the air during expiration process. Materials required: lime water, test tube, straw and one holed rubber cork. Take some freshly prepared lime water in a test tube. Fill approximately 1/3 of the test tube. Now fix one holed rubber cork to the neck of the test tube. Take a straw and blow air through this lime water slowly. Observe the changes taking place in the test tube. Lime water turns milky. Milky precipitate formation you can observe here. By this experiment, we can conclude exhaled gas is rich in carbon dioxide. When we blow into the lime water, the carbon dioxide in our breath reacts with the lime water to form calcium carbonate. You can observe the equation for this reaction. The product calcium carbonate is insoluble in water and this turns the lime water milky. This confirms that we exhale carbon dioxide during respiration. Okay, all of you have seen the video, right students? Yes, the air which we expel out, it is rich in carbon dioxide. Okay, now let us try to answer few MCQs. Are you ready? Okay. The first question for you. Which part of the cell breakdown of glucose to pyruvate takes place? Options are ribosomes, mitochondria, Golgi apparatus and cytoplasm. Yes students, your answer is correct, cytoplasm. Second question, the part of the throat between the mouth and the windpipe is called as? The options are larynx, nasal passage, pharynx and trachea. Yes, your answer is correct students. Next question, name the pores in leaf through which respiratory exchange of gases takes place. Options are stomata, vacuoles, lenticels, xylem. Answer is correct. Yes, it is stomata. One more question for you students. The respiratory pigment in human being is chlorophyll, carotene, mitochondria, hemoglobin. Your answer is correct students, it is hemoglobin. Students, in this session we studied in detailed account of respiration, types of respiration, respiration in human beings. Now a few questions for home assignment. First question, which reactions carried out by ATP inside the cell? Second question, how are the lungs designed in human beings to maximize the area for exchange of gases? Third question, differentiate between aerobic and anaerobic respiration. Students, all of you write down these questions and try to answer by using your textbook and also under the guidance of your teachers. Students, in this particular class, a detailed account of respiration we discussed. In the next class, we are going to study one more essential life process, that is transportation. So, namaste.